So in this video I will show you how you set up a sound effect inside Unity, and to demonstrate how you do it I just have a very simple scene here with a cube, and if we look down in the project here I have a script that is called player controller. It's just a new script, so there's nothing in it. And I also have a sounds folder with a sound effect, and this is gonna be some bass drop sound effect that we're gonna add, so that when we hit a specific button, it could be the spacebar, then it will go and play this bass drop sound effect. So let's just test it out to hear it. So the goal now is to, every time we hit the spacebar, it will go and play this sound. And you also have to keep in mind that we're going to simulate that this cube is actually our player. So we will first of all go and take the player controller and put it on the cube. Just like that. And now you can see down in our components here that we have the player controller. So now let's go and open Visual Studio and open the player controller. It is in here that we want to go and make a public property, and it is going to be a audio clip. And finally, let's give it a name. So we can just say bass sound and close it off. And already now, when we have this audio clip attribute, we can actually go and put the sound as this property, and we're going to do that inside Unity. So back in Unity, on our cube here, we have the player controller down here, and you can see that we have a bass sound, but there's no clip. So we can just go and drag the bass drop sound effect over here. And if we just go back to the code, then you can see we already now know that the sound is going to be this attribute because we linked them together via Unity's interface. So the next step would be to, when we hit a button, it should go and make the sound. So the way you do it is inside the update method here that is run every frame. We will go and make a if statement. Then we can say input, and this input is also coming from the Unity engine, just like the audio clip. And because we have a class here called input, we can go and say dot, and then we say get key down. So every time a key is hold down, or it's actually not because it's hold down, it's just because it is going down once. Then we can go and say which key that we want to specify, which key should it listen to, and in this case it is the space key, so we say key code and then dot and then space. You can of course go and put whatever key you want to, because if you just take the key code and say dot, you get all the keys that you can choose from here, but we will just go and say space. But when this is done, we actually need to go and use something else called a audio source. So we need to go back to Unity, and when you select the cube, you can just go down and say add component, and from in here you can see I already spelled audio, and it is this one, audio source. You just have to add it and really don't have to do anything else. It is actually just to do so that you can use all the features that this audio source is coming with. So now when that's set up, let's go back to Visual Studio, because it is in here inside our start method that we want to go and use the component. So to actually get the audio source component, we do need to go up here at the top and say that we want to create a new property. It's just a private property right now because we don't have to see it inside our player's controller inside Unity. And it's a audio source, and then it's the player audio is just the name of our variable here. So we can go and put a value to it. So in our start method, we want to go and use the player audio. And as you can see here, Visual Studio is actually suggesting that we are going to use the get component. And then we want to go and say what component do we want to get. And it should be the audio source. So we can actually just hit tab on this one. And this was actually also the reason that we had to add the audio source to our player inside Unity, because else we couldn't go and get the component, because then it will not have the component. So that's why we had to add it inside Unity. So the final step now is actually just to take this player audio and we can put it inside our update method here. And when we hit the spacebar, we will go and use the player audio, and then we can actually hit the dot, and then we have a option called play one shot. So it will actually just go and play it once. Then when we hover over it, you can see that we have some options here. We have a audio clip that we have to put in, and there's actually one overload also, and that is the option where we can put the audio clip, but also the volume of how much volume it should put on the sound effect. So let's just go and put in our bass sound. So we have it all up here. We can just go and copy and paste it in. And when you hit comma, you can see it will have a float as the second parameter, which will go and be the volume scale. So in this case, I will just say 1.0 and then put an F so it knows that it's a float. So let's go and test this. So inside Unity, I'll just go and play, and let's try to hit the spacebar. So you can hear it will go and display the sound effect. So you can just go and actually just go and hit it again and again and again. A little trick I also want to show you is how you inside Unity put music to the game. And I actually don't have any music in my project, but I will show you that inside the main camera, it's actually in here that you want to go and add a component, and it is this AudioSource. And when you expand it, you can see you actually just have to have the sound inside your project and then drag it over to the audio clip here, and that will actually go and just make some background music on your project. And if you want it to loop, then you of course have to check this one. But I hope you learned something, and go and have a nice day. Bye.